In 1620, while the Mayflower was in Provincetown, 18 of its men sailed in a small shallop, searching for a place to live. They came to present-day Eastham, where they were met by a group of Nauset. After a brief but violent encounter, the English left towards today's Plymouth. In 2020, we remember this first encounter. We explore its meanings for today and tomorrow.
Welcome to our Sunset Series, part of the Eastham 400 commemoration. I'm privileged to welcome this evening Gene Toland, a member of the Maryknoll Fathers and Brothers Mission Society. As a priest, Gene worked for 50 years in Bolivia, Chile, in northern Kenya, and southern Sudan. He's a senior practitioner in the Presencing Institute Global Network for Social and Institutional Renewal at the Sloan Management School at MIT. Welcome, Gene.
Well, thank you, Tom, for inviting me to participate in this series of the Sunset Series of Eastham 400. My experience during this pandemic period, one of the thoughts I had as we entered into the shutdown period of the pandemic was that here on Cape Cod, we are in the territory of a more local pandemic that occurred some years ago, some years before the encounter we are commemorating with Eastham 400. The diseases brought by the first Europeans to southern New England caused incredible pain and loss as entire villages of Wampanoag and other original peoples became graveyards and were abandoned. That fact conditioned all future encounters original peoples had with newcomers from Europe. There was a corporal, bodily memory in the native population that signaled caution, suspicion, and fear as more of the white European arrivals came to settle. Even though there was some initial collaboration for mutual benefit of both peoples, those suspicions and fears were confirmed, not so much by further outbreaks of crippling diseases, but by the culture of domination and land grabs supported by an attitude of white superiority over dark-skinned, pagan, ignorant, of correct civilization norms and cultures. So I found it interesting that 400 years later, as we set out to commemorate one of the early encounters between original peoples and white Europeans, we are in fact experiencing in our bodies one of the critical dynamics that conditioned those early encounters and foreshadowed the inequalities that marked all future ones. In recent years, the work I've been doing in Latin America and elsewhere has given me a certain unique perspective, perhaps, in experiencing what we are going through today. The work has been based on methodologies that allow a team, an organization, a civic group, whatever, to see itself as a system, and more particularly to see the quality of the relationships within that system, the quality of relationships that often are not fully noticed. So in one way, I see the pandemic as a global theater in which all of us are actors. Everyone is affected and feels uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and in many instances, directly the pain, grief, and loss. We are all in this together has become a major rallying call to affirm our being all interconnected and one in sharing common frailty, vulnerability, and mortality. But we are not only on the stage of this drama, but with modern technology and with the stay-at-home orders and time that we've had to watch and listen and ponder what is going on, we are also, in a sense, on the balcony, looking down on our common drama. In this sense, we have turned the lens around so we see ourselves as a community of shared experience. And most importantly, we see what is the state of the quality of our relationships. We are not all in this together. Some neighborhoods, health facilities, resources for masks, ventilators, government assistance are at the end of the line. Even more, as we look more closely at the scene, the drama reveals that these communities of Black and people of color, including Native Americans, on their reservations have been at the end of the line and even kept out of the line for decades, if not centuries. We on Cape Cod were drawn into a subplot of the drama as the federal government recently tried again to take land from the Wampanoag Nation. The drama which we are all a part of is marked by deep systemic inequalities. Night after night, as we look down on our shared drama through all the media that is presented to us, the data jumps out at us. This is you. This is the society that was created and maintained by human beings and systemic structures they put in place over a long period of time. We are all affected, but certain ones among us are taking the brunt of the pandemic with more suffering than others. We might have suspected as much, but now we see it before our very eyes. The pandemic has stripped away our blinders. For most of us, this is not who we want to be. Energy follows consciousness. Consensus is growing, we can see and hear, that steps need to be taken to address these great inequalities and to reshape our community. But as if we still didn't get it, we were pulled more deeply into our shared drama with the killing of George Floyd. 9 minutes of video of kneeling on neck, on cries, "I can't breathe." Another curtain on the stage is pulled back. Much of the inequality is rooted in a long history of systemic racism. The R word is out of the bag, belted out as in a chorus of a Verdi opera. Enough, basta, no more police brutality on unarmed blacks and people of color. This time we are not going off stage and told to hush up, be nice, don't let rage carry us away. And what is amazing to see, as in the Black Lives Matter marches here on Cape Cod, particularly the one I experienced in Orleans a few days ago, these choruses demanding action and real change are multiracial and multi-generational. For the most part, organized by young people, black and white. Just as they are a motor force for action on climate change, so younger generations are taking starring roles in this drama. They are forcing us to be specific about a post-pandemic new normal in treating squarely the systemic inequalities and racism that have been so vividly revealed in these past months. Now we have reflection and discussions, long ignored, put on back burners, or even buried, on why the inequalities in healthcare, education, and housing exist. And police departments are revisiting topics of what is the true role of the police? How are we to be trained? Concern over militarization and how the police can better collaborate, continue to collaborate with social services of local communities to prevent so many social problems police often unfairly are asked to confront and to resolve. So for me, at least, going back and forth from the experience of being in this drama and then watching it, in a sense, from the outside, from the balcony, has helped me to see that and to recognize that I, as a white man, am part of the problem and continue to be a beneficiary of white privilege. Until I accept that fact, I cannot be part of any steps to resolve this ruptured and disfigured society here in the United States and in the world. I am a white man who's had years of experience with peoples of color in different cultures, yet I have to accept that I do not know the experience of black people in my own country. I have not walked in their shoes. So despite feelings of empathy and support, just like being a visitor to other countries and cultures, I have the responsibility to treat with basic respect all black peoples, people of color living and working here, particularly on Cape Cod, such as Haitians and Jamaicans, Brazilians, black Brazilians, but in particular the original peoples of these lands. With them, I must be a humble learner and listener. So I think with the initiative of Eastham 400, we here all have the opportunity to honestly face and accept the past skewered relationships with original peoples of these lands and those black people and their descendants, those who arrived in 1619. But not to be paralyzed by guilt, but with clear eyes and intention to work with them to break the chains of historical, systemic inequality and racism, to reshape how we relate to each other in this our common home. Our lives only matter if Black lives matter. Thank you.